Lourdes Alfonso, and I'm a Spanish teacher. And this afternoon I was walking down by the residence, and I saw a group of Lithuanians protesting with big posters, and I didn't really know what was going on. And when I asked them, it was the case of a little girl, and apparently everybody in Lithuania knows about her, and it was a big issue, a burning issue in the country. And suddenly I remember my experience of 6 years going to the Himalayas, to Nepal, because I started doing some trekking there, and I got in contact with Maiti Nepal, an organization who works rescuing girls, Nepali little girls who have been kidnapped by gangs and prostitute them in India. The situation is that they come from remote areas in the country, and it's very difficult to rescue them in the country. Why is that? Because they are so poor that even their parents who are selling them don't really know what they are doing. They think they are sending them to work in the Kathmandu Valley, to work in carpet factories, and they are going to improve their way of living, and they will be able to send money home to support the whole family, because they are very poor peasants. The reality is that they are brought by false boyfriends or very kind young men, and they are raped continuously in Kathmandu, and of course they are kidnapped. And when they think they are going to die, they are told there is a paradise called India, and they can have a better life and marry Indian men, etc., etc. The reality is that they are extremely scared, and that's the way to cross the border between Nepal and India. Actually, at present, there are many international organizations, Europeans, Australian, New Zealanders, and volunteers who go to that area in the border between Nepal and India and manage to rescue a few girls, because they stop cars, they stop buses, they stop vans, even late in the evening or in the middle of the night. And when they see scared girls and they cannot prove the guys they are traveling are their husband, they know for sure they have been kidnapped. And for most of them, they are not so lucky. When they get into India, they are brought to brothels in New Delhi and Mumbai, and if they are lucky enough to survive, some of those girls are kidnapped when they are only 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sometimes they bleed so much, they have miscarriages, sometimes they have children, and they live with them in the brothels. So Maiti Nepal, the organization I work for, rescue these girls, and they got people working in those cities, young men who go to the brothels and talk to these girls. Some of them have lost all their dignity, and they even don't want to go back to their hometowns. But some of them cry, they are desperate, and some of them get really insane because of the situation. So when they manage to rescue them, in contact with the police, because there is a crime all over the world about pedophilia and about all these things. When they are brought back to the country, they are seriously sick, and some of them they are not even 20. What Maiti Nepal does is to take them to shelter homes near the border to try to do some sort of therapy and treat them because they are seriously sick. I was lucky enough to work with them with my sister. My sister is a qualified nurse in a big hospital in Madrid, and she had long to do voluntary work for many years. And I talked to her about this organization. Well, she ran the clinic for the organization. They didn't have a clinic before. and the experience was absolutely great with beautiful human beings who were about to leave this world. And besides that, in Southeast Asia, I traveled a lot around Southeast Asia. I was able to see many Westerners, many men who were absolutely in the pedophilia business, who had young boys or little girls with them, holding hands in hotels. And I'm talking about Laos, Cambodia, and of course Thailand. But Cambodia is probably one of the worst places in that area. Now again, there are many volunteers who I used to take pictures of men with my camera, and I used to pay attention to which language they speak, because obviously if they are European, I could easily report to the embassy and to the police, and really a very one of the worst crimes a human being can commit with small children. So that's my testimony about that. It's something, a crime we should never be left and look to another side. You have to look at straight and fight, and every single community has to do something against that. You cannot possibly let children suffer in hell as the girls we saw in Maiti Nepal, because they are what we call broken glasses or broken mirrors. They were like angels, but because they have Hindu religion, they think in their former lives they had something very, very bad, and they had a bad karma. So we just comfort them, we just gave them big hugs, and they were in peace. They had never been treated like that before. And the organization is known all over the world, and the president is Mrs. Anuradha Koirala, who raised funds from many private organizations in America and in Europe, all over the world. You cannot, when you start this job or this work, you never stop it. No matter where you are, if you are on holidays, if you are at work, if you are with family, relatives, your eyes, your look changes, and you oversee when there are dangerous situations. So anywhere, no matter where you are, in Europe or in Asia or wherever, we should protect our children against those monsters. The situation is changing a lot because there are many more and more people aware of the importance of reporting to the authorities, or reporting, or just gathering together a big group of people against this. And when governments or the state doesn't protect these children, only public attention and only the spread of this news. I didn't know anything about this case, but this case is the same all over the world. In Spain, there was a big case a couple of years ago, and there were many people, many guys involved from all over Europe. And Spanish police investigated for over a year, and with the help of the Interpol, the European police, caught a 23-year-old guy who was the head of one of the biggest pedophilia organizations in Europe, with pornography through internet. But not only that, they were really mistreating and sexually abusing little children, boys and girls, and they were arrested, and actually at present they are in prison. For Hindi people, is like how could I say, like something very negative, very bad for their reputation if the girl comes back from India, because they are dirty forever. They are not pure anymore. And so they don't accept them coming back to the village. It's a problem. Usually keeps them in shelter homes, and they give them education and some vocational training, and that's where I met them. And when I met them, they were like angels, but they were absolutely devastated. They were not able to smile. Sometimes it took us a long, long time until they smiled. I had two experiences, like very moving experiences, I witnessed while being in Maiti Nepal. One was one day, there was like a big patio, big garden, beautiful garden, with a place where the girls, the rescued girls, had dancing lessons every single day, apart from swimming, many things like writing, reading, singing, many things. And Anurada Koirala found me. I was on the other side of the complex. Lourdes, come here quickly, quickly. And guess what? There were two police officers with about 5 men standing there, and 15 young girls in the main courtyard. I didn't know what was going on, but it was something really big, because the police had gone there with those guys. They were trying to smuggle those girls into India. And one volunteer and some volunteers spotted them in the neighborhood, and they knew those girls were not from Kathmandu, and they were away from their families. If you had seen those their faces, they were scared to death. And they didn't know that, those volunteers had spared them of suffering in that hell in India. They will never know. They knew, and the testimony they gave Anurada Koirala and the lawyers of Maiti Nepal was that they were brought to Kathmandu Valley to work in a factory. And the second one was completely the opposite. I was going back to Spain, and it was weekend, so there were no activities, there were no school, and the clinic was closed, and it was very quiet. And suddenly I was in my hotel, and I said, okay, I'm going back to Maiti Nepal to say goodbye to the children from the orphanage. And I'll tell you later that some of those children are already in Spain with foster families. I mean, they were adopted by Spanish families, and they're living happily there. But when I went into one of the offices, I could see the picture, and I could see what was going on, because there were two guys, one from Maiti Nepal and the other. They were young guys I didn't know, and they were holding air tickets in their hands. And there was a Maiti Nepal lawyer, a lady, her assistant, and they were like 4 scared girls, like terrified, and a baby, a toddler. She was about 2 years old. And I knew they had just come back from India. And actually, the lawyer told me, Lourdes, we have just brought them back home. And it really was very emotional for me. So, every fight is really worth it. It will bring good results. So I would highly encourage you to work hard on these matters, because the truth always arises. What can we do about that? And my sister's answer was very easy. The moment we spot someone in that situation, to record everything, to keep records on everything, and to prove it into court. No matter whether they are politicians, high-rank officials, or very powerful people. Nobody should be quiet. Nobody should keep their mouth shut before these situations, because I'm sure there are many witnesses of this case who are now quiet. So you are a strong group, and I'm sure you will be strong till the end.